Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, beautiful, wonderful individual. Ever heard of the banana that thought that being skinned has a certain appeal? Today I would like to speak about soaring, or the balance between soaring, like having wings, in a misty conglomeration of reality, and grounding, more or less, being pushed down into the body, living from the body alone contra living from only soul spirit. It kind of is like the thoughts meeting will in the middle in feeling. If you take into consideration that every thought is affected by feeling and will, every feeling is affected by thought and will, and every will impulses is affected by feeling and thought. And all of them interlap with each other, but thinking and will meet each other in feeling. It can be the kind of described as like east and west. In the east we have more leaned towards the will, and in the west we are more leaned towards thinking. But meeting in the middle in feeling, towards an understanding in that everything hangs together and everything is. That means every part of this earth, every area of this earth, strive commonly towards a future, a good, a whole. We can get to include everything and every single stream that occurs and might seem like contradictions and might seem like disagreements and so on and so forth. It is about meeting the individual to individual and finding the common human being. It is easy to disagree, it is easy to go in constant fighting, but to truly have the freedom to choose to find understanding, to find comprehension. Now that is a different and more challenging task, and also the task that we are being more or less responsible for today, to actually include every single human being in this earthly development we're in, and not letting our folk demon dictate what we agree and disagree upon, to just fall into, just because we agree and are in alignment with these specific human beings. And because of it, we just fall into that group automatic and we disagree with everything else. It is about holding that individual freedom so that we can, what's it called? Slip into every group we want to, based on what's needed, based on what's necessary, based on your, mine, his, her freedom. It is about finding in freedom the creative inspiration that can be found with each individual, by having an open listening, by setting our own biases and personal opinions that might not even have any true basis in reality, be it spiritual or material, to truly find truth, to find what is the kernel of the human being, the kernel of you or me. So, do you use your freedom to find out, to be curious, to immerse yourself in whatever experiences the higher worlds wish you to experience, so that we can find through our bodily, soul and spirit experiences, going the hard way? That means even though some people say you should not do this or should not do that, you end up doing it because you needed to feel with your body why you shouldn't, right? This has happened to anyone. And it is because, well, we human beings don't like to be told what to do. Some do. And many people wish to be forced to strive for the spiritual. But the spiritual today is in freedom. The spiritual today is truly chosen in creative, artistic freedom. Combined with science, of course, or else you wouldn't have a certain living, forming structure. It is about finding that perfect balance between the creative, artistic, beautiful, and the Philistine, scientific, material, and pedantic. Combining these two and having them meet each other in the middle is where the human being lies. So, of course, this is harder to describe than normally would in any kind of sense perceptible or reasonable knowledge, because this is spiritual. It is something that is more symbolic and more sublime. And because of it, we can only use our language that is presented to us today in this incarnation. In earlier times, we had more picturesque language, like in mythologies, like in fairy tales. There were spiritual foundation behind all of this. They describe what they saw with their picture atavistically clairvoyant faculties. But that has changed to a very defined, clear contour, clearly shapen definitions and detail orientation in the physical world. And because of it, we had to lose our atavistic clairvoyance that were more imaginative than we have today. But it is about waking up these things again to allow imagination, or not allow, you actually have to actively use your imagination. If you can allow inspiration. Inspiration is allowing by listening to another human being, observing the outer world, observing your inner world, allows inspiration if you sit and wait, be patient. But by you actively using your imagination, you can transform your thought to, they are beings and they are alive. But we are using so many dead thought forms today that has aged and become rotten, that have decayed more or less. They are dead thought concepts, cold, dry like sand. But to enliven, awaken, to be actively creative and also attuned to the detail-oriented, and not let yourself fall into any kind of misty abstraction or, into just a conglomerated mass of everything. But not either have the empty phrases. Taking as an example, love one another. Because John the Evangelist said it. It has meaning. He knew what that meant. Hence, it is not an abstraction. But if anyone else says it, it becomes but an empty phrase, you see? You need to know why you say certain things. It cannot come out as empty abstractions. It has to have been rooted in reality, in a sense. And creativity, inspiration, or imagination, inspiration, and intuition. Imagination as active thinking, active living thinking. Inspiration as inflowing emotional inspirations. And will impulses that are more or less invisible to most common folk, really. But it's there. Is intuition. So living in all of these and trying to immerse ourselves into these different ways of seeing things and being open to them, because if we say that it is impossible, then we deny ourselves, then we rob ourselves of these realities, of these ways of perceiving the world, enlivening the world. You see, the sense perceptible world is an entrance to the spiritual world. And it is not meant to be cut off like some sort of asceticism and say everything is illusion. We are meant to find the spiritual in the material. But we are meant to find what's spiritual behind it, and not finding that the material is the spiritual and stop there. We need to find what is playing itself, what is forming it, what is shaping it, what is guiding it, and finding what is alive behind there, you know? Letting it. You need imagination, but it will come into inspiration over time when you are ready to receive their inspiration. They will deem you ready when you are ready. It is by no means something that you have the full right to have access to anytime. It is about really having dignity, common human decency, moral tact, and holding to certain standards that, if not, it would be used for, well, devilish and dubious and, what's it called, sinister purposes. To hold your heart steady and right to what is good, true and beautiful. That is when they will come and show you when you are ready. So, I will leave you with this today. And thank you so much, you beautiful individual you. May Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, ancient masters of all, ancestors from every incarnation, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, kyriadetes, dynamis, exousiae, archai, archangels, and angels, bless, protect, guide, and love you, and may you find your inner life, inner inspiration, inner flow, and creative endeavors, but also combining and connecting it to your everyday life, to your practical living, to you. I think you know what I mean. So I only allude to things because that is what we do in the spiritual. We point towards the moon. Of course, we cannot be looking at our finger. We need to be looking to the moon the finger is pointing to. So, thank you. Love you. Goodbye.